Now that this season is over and with the summer season just around the corner, we obviously will be getting the long-awaited season 2 of the amazing isekai series Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. That's why in this video I wanted to talk about some of the notable information that you should know before going into the upcoming season and what we can expect as well. Note for the first portion of the video, I'll be talking about very general things to avoid spoilers, and only later I'll talk about more of the actual story of season 2. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like and maybe consider subscribing for more anime content like this in the future. Before I talk about what we should be expecting, for those that do not know, when Mushoku Tensei was adapted into a light novel, the story itself didn't change much from the original web novel, unlike other series such as That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. Instead, it adds upon the original story to give it more depth and details to the existing story, character and world. That's why the web novel and light novel are both considered canon to the story, but with the light novel just being more detailed. So with that said, what should we be expecting for Season 2? For starters, based on the trailer we got, the beginning of Season 2 will most likely be adapting Volume 7 of the light novel, which is a completely new addition to the story, and what that means is, in the original web novel, when Ares left Rudeus, there was a 2-year time skip that wasn't really shown and something that just happened off screen. So Volume 7 will be covering that 2-year time skip, which will be essential in establishing the issues and reasons that lead into the university arc, which will also be adapted into Season 2 as well, but I'll go over that later. However, I do have to state that the events depicted in this particular volume doesn't actually have any real significance in furthering the main plot of the story, which is why some have even called it filler for the lackluster storyline. But personally, I found Volume 7 to be quite interesting and important because it provides us with a perspective on where Rudeus is mentally after Ares had left him. And if you think he was sad before, this particular arc, which is aptly named The Depressed Wizard, will show you an even broken version of Rudeus. I mean, at one point, he became so depressed that he even considered unaliving himself. Luckily, the main drive that keeps him going throughout this arc, which is to find his mother, could still somewhat keep him motivated, and eventually he did find a way to overcome his depression thanks to the people that he meets. And that's the beauty of this arc. It really expands on Rudeus as a character, showing that he's no longer a young boy and is now becoming an adolescent, having to learn how to handle very adult situations and emotions. This arc basically will help establish what kind of person he actually is going into future storylines, and although it will be quite depressing in the beginning, it does get better for Rudeus. Also, some of the new characters introduced are quite interesting as well, but again, they are actually not that integral to the main story and mostly serves as a plot device to help Rudeus. With that said, this next portion will involve me discussing about spoilers for Season 2, so feel free to click away right now if you're an anime only, but I'll still keep things vague enough that I won't completely spoil the entirety of Season 2. Now, the new season will likely kick off by showing us the condition Rudeus is in after getting dumped by Ares. He's in a very dark place, constantly questioning his own self-worth and almost reverting back to his own mentally troubled self before he was reincarnated. We see him at his lowest, but he knows that he still has to continue living because his mother Zenith is still missing. And it was during his starting adventure that he will travel to a new town up in the north, planning on spreading his name, but Rudeus soon realizes that going solo won't really improve his name recognition, so he starts going on various missions with other adventurer groups. Although for a majority of Volume 7, he mostly pairs up with an adventurer team called Counter Arrow. It was also somewhat thanks to Counter Arrow and the friendships that Rudeus made as an adventurer that allowed him to briefly overcome his depression and learn to trust in people again. And he was also successful in making a name for himself as an adventurer, becoming widely known as Quagmire, which will have some impact going into the university arc. However, since the theme of Volume 7 is mostly about Rudeus experiencing nothing but else, there will be another tragic revelation when Sarah, a member from Counter Arrow, fallen for him, and during their spicy interaction, Rudeus discovered that he's suffering from erectile dysfunction, another side effect of getting dumped by Ares. And although people might assume this is played for laughs, it's actually really sad when you think about it because again, it really explores the mental position that Rudeus is in and how much impact Ares had on him. Not to mention how devastating it must feel for Sarah as well, although in the future, she does briefly return and the misunderstanding will be resolved. Now, it was because of discovering his ED, the fact that Elena Lise soon arrived to inform him about the discovery of his mother and Hitogami's urging that ultimately caused Rudeus to enroll at the Runoa University of Magic, bringing us into the university arc. So for this particular arc, it's mainly Rudeus using his newfound fame as the adventurer Quagmire and the resources of the school to search for a cure for his ED, while also researching about the cause of the teleportation incident at the behest of Hitogami. And for the majority of this arc, people might find it boring and different from Season 1 because it doesn't have much action and is more focused on the slice of life aspect of Mushoku Tensei, having rudeus enjoying a normal life as a student. However, even though it will definitely be much slower than Season 1, the university arc will help to expand the world building of the series, and even the new characters that rudeus meets throughout this arc will be really important in developing the overall story of the upcoming arcs in Volume 10 to Volume 12. And based on the trailer, they are very likely going to be adapted into Season 2 as well. Also, rudeus will be getting a heartfelt reunion with a very familiar individual who does help him eventually cure his ED. But moving on for Volume 10 to 11, I'm not sure how much the anime will cover because they still mostly maintain the slice of life themes from the university arc, so maybe they'll take some liberties with the stories they choose to adapt. Although for the Grey Rat Sister arc, which is the main story arc that is covered in the 11th volume of the light novel, it will explore the relationship that rudeus has with his sisters, and it might be adapted fully because it does lead into one of the saddest and most tragic experiences in the overall series, at least for me, which is the Labyrinth arc. So to avoid giving away too big of a spoiler, this volume will have rudeus together with Elena Lise traveling to the Bangarito continent to meet up with Paul's group to help rescue Zenith, who is currently trapped inside a legendary dungeon called the Teleport Labyrinth. This arc will provide some amazing world building and character development for not just rudeus but other characters as well. But once rudeus and Elena Lise reunite with Paul's group, get ready for some very action-packed, psychological and emotional moments because there will definitely be a shit ton during this arc. And I can tell you now, there will also be a major turning point and loss for rudeus, but if you want to know what it's going to be, you either have to wait for the anime to come out or read the light novel yourself. So to summarize what I said, Season 1 we saw him grow up into a young boy, and Season 2 will basically be covering mostly his adolescent years. And Season 2 will definitely be slower paced than the previous season, focusing on developing rudeus' character, like exploring his depression and mental health and how he eventually overcome it thanks to the people that he meets. Also from the trailer, we at least know that Season 2 will cover Volume 7 to Volume 12 of the light novel, and don't worry, they definitely won't be fitting all that content into 12 episodes. Instead, Season 2 will follow the same formula as Season 1, splitting the course into 2 parts with 24 episodes in total, although there have been rumors that it will be a 3-part series, so maybe we'll be getting 36 episodes in total. As for how long it will take for us to eventually get to the Labyrinth arc if Season 2 is split into 3 courses, we'll just have to wait till summer ends to find out, but I'm definitely excited for the new season. Anyways, this has been a very brief summary of what we can expect from Season 2 of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. And again, I try to avoid revealing too much major spoilers, but if you don't care, I recommend reading Volume 7 first to get yourself acquainted with some of the new characters that will be introduced and have a better understanding of certain plot points. Also, are you excited for Season 2 of Mushoku Tensei? Feel free to share your thoughts down below. If you enjoyed this video and want me to cover Mushoku Tensei Season 2, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button for future updates. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe everyone.